Hello everyone, I am Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. In our today's video, we are going to understand about nuclear non-proliferation treaty. But more than that, I will also let you know that why is nuclear non-proliferation treaty, NPT, why is it discriminatory, especially for countries like India? Okay, let us start our today's discussion. And if you want to download the notes, these will be available on my Telegram channel, ATS Live. What you can do, open your Telegram app. On the top right hand corner, there is a search bar. There, enter the words ATS Live. You'll find the channel. Alternatively, you can also scan the QR code. When you go to the channel, subscribe it if you still haven't and download the notes which will be made available few minutes after this session concludes. Okay. Now let us start by understanding why are we discussing NPT in the first place. Now Israeli attack on Iran, it began on June 13 and specifically Israel on its attack with Iran, first it targeted several of the nuclear installation sites. After that, US has also joined this movement by bombing 3 important nuclear sites of Iran. Now, all in all, Iran, as it has been understood, was very close to enriching weapons grade uranium. After that, Iran would have the capability to make nuclear bombs itself. So, Israel felt that in case Iran comes up with its own nuclear weapon, this will be detrimental to the existence of Israel. Hence, according to Israel, they bombed it to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons of its own. Now, on its own, Iran has denied the charges that it is not making nuclear weapons. Rather, it is using nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, that is to generate electricity. And it is not developing weapons, right? So, these are the two reasons both of the parties have given on this conflict. But what is more important, that amid this heightened military tensions between Iran on one hand and US and Israel on another, the Parliament of Islamic Republic of Iran, it is preparing a bill so that Iran can leave the treaty known as Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So in this regard, let us understand what is this treaty all about and more importantly, why is it discriminatory for countries like India? Okay. Now, first you need to understand a bit background here first. Now, you understand how the World War II ended, right? It ended after US bombed 2 Japanese cities that were Hiroshima and Nagasaki using for the first time nuclear weapons, right? Now this nuclear weapons led to large scale destruction and deaths of lakhs of people, right? But more importantly, other countries also witnessed the destructive potential of these kind of the bombs. So other countries at that time, particularly USSR, France, China, UK, they also wanting to develop their own nuclear weapons. So this in a way promoted a global race to develop their own nuclear weapons, particularly the more developed countries at that time. Now simultaneously, the countries who now possessed nuclear weapons, that US, later on USSR, they wanted that these kind of capabilities should not be spreading to many countries, because who would want to dilute their edge that they maintain over other countries, right? So therefore these countries also came up with an idea so that they restrict the access of nuclear technology to other countries so that other countries can't develop nuclear weapons themselves. So in that way, United States government at that time, when it was led by President Dwight Eisenhower, who was also a military general at the time of World War II, they came up with an initiative known as Atoms for Peace Initiative. And in this initiative, which later on led to the formation of IAEA, they said that nuclear technology can only be used for peaceful purposes, and to ensure that countries are using nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, we are making a body known as International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. Okay. So in this regard, NPT came into fruition, and this was a treaty signed in 1968 and entered into force in 1970. Now this is a treaty that says that the aim of this treaty is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and technology and ensure that countries cooperate with each other in order to use peaceful or nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. What are the peaceful purposes for which nuclear technologies can be used? It can be used to generate power, it can be used for medical purposes, right? And the intention of this treaty was to ensure disarmament. What do you mean by disarmament? That the countries who have nuclear weapons, they should eventually surrender their nuclear weapons. So all in all, this was the provision in writing or in words of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It does not want the spread of nuclear weapons. It wants the use of nuclear technology only for peaceful purposes, and it wants to achieve the target of disarmament. That is, the countries who had nuclear weapon, they should surrender their nuclear weapons. Okay, but has it actually happened? The answer is no. Why? I will let you know, need not worry. Now, the most important achievement of NPT, it is not that NPT hasn't achieved anything. NPT has achieved a significant amount of work. What is this achievement? NPT has laid down a safeguard system. This safeguard system ensures that countries who do not possess nuclear weapon, they filed regular detailed reports on their civilian nuclear activities. So countries who have nuclear power plants, they need to file reports with IAEA highlighting that they are actually using those nuclear power plants for generating power and not to manufacture nuclear weapons. Similarly, these countries who do not possess nuclear weapon, they also need to allow international inspectors belonging again from IAEA to visit their nuclear premises and verify actually that they are not using nuclear technology for making weapons. Similarly, these countries also need to ensure that there is no diversion of materials from civilian use of nuclear technology for military purposes. That is, if you are enriching nuclear fuel, you need to use that enriched nuclear fuel only to generate electricity. You can't use that nuclear fuel to make nuclear weapons. So this is the condition that has been imposed on countries who do not possess nuclear weapon. That is, they will have to follow a safeguard system. And who is monitoring the safeguard system? The body known as IAEA. Understood? Now let us understand other important features of this treaty. Now this safeguard system is the central to the basic bargain that the countries who have signed NPT, they've signed NPT for a particular reason. They said that we are not going to use nuclear technology to make nuclear weapons, but you need to assure that you will provide certain cooperation and assistance in case we want to use nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. So countries who do not have the ability to set up a nuclear power plant themselves, in that regard, other developed countries who have that kind of technology, they will provide them with expertise, they will provide them with adequate help. Why? Because these members are signatory of NPT, but they will have to ensure that they can't make nuclear weapons. So this is the cost benefit that the country has done before signing NPT, that we give or we relinquish our right to make nuclear weapons, but you also have to help us use nuclear technology peacefully. That is for medical purposes, for power generation purposes. Understood? Now the most discriminatory aspect of NPT that I'm going to tell you. Now this treaty, it actually discriminates between countries who possess nuclear weapon and who do not possess nuclear weapon. How does it discriminate? Now this treaty says that a nuclear state is a state that has manufactured or exploded a nuclear weapon prior to 1st of January 1967. And which countries had the nuclear weapons before this particular date? These were United States, United Kingdom, France, Soviet Union, which later became Russia, and China. So according to these NPT, these 5 countries are called as nuclear weapon states, and rest members, these will be called as non-nuclear weapon states. Now in total there are 191 states who have joined NPT as of now. So this makes 186 countries non-nuclear weapon states. These countries have said in NPT, while signing NPT, that they will not develop nuclear weapons in future. But these countries will also have signed NPT because they want other countries to help them use nuclear weapons, or nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. So here 186 are the non-nuclear weapon state, whereas 5 countries are nuclear weapon state. So many people allege that this treaty has actually says or divided the countries based on 2 different criteria: have-nots and haves of nuclear weapons. So 5 countries are recognized here as nuclear weapon state, whereas rest have been recognized as a non-nuclear weapon state. So this is how this country discriminates. Now, the big question is, why hasn't India signed NPT? The answer is India carried out its first nuclear state test back in 1974, and this was the time when Madam Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and this peaceful test was called as Smiling Buddha the First. And it has not signed nuclear non-proliferation treaty because it has iterated the principle of universality in preventing nuclear proliferation. India says that this treaty exempts 5 countries who are United States, UK, Russia, France and China, and it provides them the exemption of recognizing them as a nuclear weapon state. And it has also set an arbitrary date to set a cutoff when a country can develop and not develop a nuclear weapon. So this actually set a date, 1st January 1967, and there is no particular significance of this date. They automatically came a date and said that countries who have already tested their nuclear weapons, they are recognized as a nuclear weapon state. But you understand, after 1967 also, many countries like India, like Pakistan, like North Korea, like Israel, they have tested their nuclear weapons. So why can't they also be recognized as a nuclear weapon state, right? So this treaty actually discriminates. It says only these countries have the right to keep nuclear weapons, whereas the rest, they don't. So this is the primary grievance with India, that this treaty has set up an arbitrary date which discriminates against India, because India tested its first nuclear weapon only in 1974. And this date was primarily set up so as to accommodate the 5 countries who have already made nuclear weapons. And that is why India has refused to sign this treaty, because it rightfully feels this treaty is a discriminatory treaty, right? Now let us understand which are the other countries who have not signed with this treaty. Pakistan is also not a signatory, so is not Israel. It is reported that Israel possesses nuclear weapons, but officially Israel has never declared that it possesses nuclear weapons. Similarly, North Korea was originally a part of NPT. It signed NPT back in 1985, but later on it announced a withdrawal in 2003 after it was found out that they are developing nuclear weapons. And North Korea, they also expelled IA inspectors from their nuclear facilities. In addition to that, even a small country in Africa, South Sudan, has also not signed NPT. So basically, all these countries who have tested nuclear weapons after the cutoff date of 1st January 1967, they all have not signed it, because this treaty discriminates and says that only those 5 countries can possess nuclear weapons, rest can't. And this treaty does not talk about disarmament. I told you initially, this treaty also wants to pursue disarmament, but do you think US or Russia or any country who possess nuclear weapons will give up their nuclear weapons? The answer is no. So in practice, this treaty is hypocritical. Why this treaty is hypocritical, I've already told you. Now let us come back to our original discussion. What happens if Iran leaves NPT? Now, one of the 11 articles in NPT, it suggests ways where a country can leave the NPT. Article 10, it speaks the way of withdrawal. It says that each party of NPT, they have the sovereign right to withdraw from this treaty, provide that there is an extraordinary event which can jeopardize the supreme interest of the withdrawing country. So in that case, they can withdraw. But before withdrawing, they'll have to give a 3 months notice in advance to other parties of the NPT as well as United Nations Security Council, and also provide the reason what are the extraordinary events and how will they jeopardize the this country's interest. Therefore, they also have to furnish the reason. So before withdrawal, they'll have to give a 3 months notice and also explain other members why they are withdrawing from it. Okay, so these are the criteria how a country can withdraw from it. Now what happens if Iran actually withdraws? Now Iran has been a signatory of NPT since 1950, and it became a part of NPT 9 years before the Iranian Revolution happened in 1979. However, in its first decision in almost 20 years, IAEA recently, of its 35-member board of governors, they recently said that Iran has breached non-proliferation obligation. That is, it is enriching more and more highly enriched uranium, which may lead to development of nuclear weapons, which goes against the provision of this treaty. Now, the board mentioned that many failures have been seen in case of Iran, and they have not maintained full and timely cooperation, and they also possess several of the undeclared nuclear material, and not just that, they also maintain some of the undeclared nuclear facilities in Iran, which goes against the provisions of this treaty. Now, Iran has said that it is adhering to safeguards, so this is basically what he said, what she said. Okay. Now, what happens if Iran leaves NPT? Now, exiting the treaty will have two major consequences. First of all, Iran will be kept out of the IAEA purview of monitoring the important civilian nuclear sites. Similarly, it can also set precedents for other countries to leave NPT. Therefore, it will weaken the global cooperation on a very crucial subject, that is nuclear non-proliferation. However, remaining in the NPT does not automatically guarantees that the country might not be pursuing their nuclear ambitions. For example, we have seen North Korea previously, while being a member of NPT, they kept on developing and enriching uranium, which ultimately led to development of nuclear weapons, right? So this is the consequences that might happen. Why, what if Iran withdraws from NPT, and why is this treaty discriminatory? I've already told you, because it set a arbitrary date which provides recognitions only to 5 countries having the nuclear weapons, where it is denies the countries who have tested nuclear weapons after 1967 the right to possess nuclear weapon, right? So that is why it is discriminatory. Now, before ending or before giving you the practice question, I have something that I wanted to let you know. Now, I told you previously that yesterday, that is 23rd of June, is the last date where you get special discounts on our resolution batches. But after receiving several calls from the students, we have decided to extend this date by one more date, that is today, 24th of June. You can still take admissions to the resolution morning batch of 2026 or the long-term batches of evening by using the code ATS Live, and using the code ATS Live will give you special discounts. What are the special discounts? Let me tell you. Suppose go to our StudyIQ.com website, create an account here by simply logging in by using the OTP. Once you're done with the logging in process, select all language and click English, because I understand many people who might be watching this video will not be as comfortable with Hindi or with bilingual batches. So we are offering exclusive English batches. Now, it depends when you want to give your exams. And suppose if you're aiming for exams next year in 2026, the morning batch 2026 option is for you. And suppose if you're looking to give exams later on in 27 or 28, the evening or the long-term evening batch option is for you. The difference between the two is only of duration. Rest all the features remain the same. Suppose if you want to take admission for 2026 batch, click buy now. Once you click buy now, the option here, it says that 31,999 is the course fees, but let me tell you a way where you can get admissions even on a discounted amount, right? Click on buy now. Once you click on buy now, on the right, add promo code. Once you click add promo code, write ATS Live and click apply. As soon as you click apply, the discount of rupees 7,000 now is applied, and the diamond course is available at 24,999, and you'll get this rate only after you apply the code ATS Live, right? Now, what are the benefits of this course? Obviously, you'll be getting live classes, lecture notes, one-to-one mentorship, but the best part is scholarship. Suppose if you're paid 25,000 for this course fees, and if you clear prelims, your entire course fees will be refunded. Yes, your entire course fees will be refunded. Also, if you top your monthly test, you'll be getting 11,000 rupees financial reward. Not just that, we'll also help you clear prelims and mains examination using prelims residential and mains residential program, where you'll be brought to Delhi, and your expenses, study related, food related, lodging related, will be borne by StudyIQ. And all of these benefits are exclusive to our resolution batches. So do not forget to take admissions. In case if you have any doubt, please feel free to reach out on us using the number 9240231070. And do not forget to let them know to apply the code ATS Live, because it helps you save 7,000 of your or your parents' hard-earned money. Understood? Now, moving back to our today's discussion, I had told you there is a practice question. There is one indeed. It is a PYQ that appeared in 2015, and this says that which among the above are nuclear weapon state as recognized by Treaty of Proliferation of Nuclear Weapon, commonly known as Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. And the ones who answer it correctly, I'll give your comments a thumbs up. And you know, the notes of this session will be made available few minutes after this session ends on the Telegram channel ATS Live. So please do that. And also, please have a very good day. We'll see each other again.